So our speaker today, Francisco García Morán, studied mathematics at the University of Sevilla and computer science at the Polytechnic University of Madrid. He started his professional career as a lecturer in mathematics and a software engineer at the University of Sevilla, and spent his professional life working in IT for public administration, first at national and regional levels in Spain, and then for the last 28 years at the European Union. He was appointed Director of IT at the European Commission in 2001, and in May 2004, he was charged with the task of creating a new Directorate General for Informatics, and he was appointed Director General in 2005. In 2013, he was appointed Chief IT Advisor of the European Commission, reporting to the Vice President of the EC in charge of administration and interinstitutional relations. We're really pleased that he's here. He is sharing a post this year with CITRIS and the Data and Democracy Initiative, and also the Institute for European Studies. So he brings a tremendous amount of experience and insight into IT for public administration. I'm really eager to hear his remarks about digital agenda for Europe. So please join me in welcoming Professor García Morán.
Thank you. Thank you, Camille, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity today. Thank you, Costas, Brandy, Yvette, for all the welcome actions you have been doing for me. I have been here for 3 weeks, and the experience is really amazing. I'm sure I'm going to enjoy the full academic year. So, in the next 40 minutes, more or less, I'm going to speak to you about the European Digital Agenda, and I will focus not on the complete agenda, but 4 specific topics that I will describe later, and I hope that we will have time for questions. I have a lot of slides, and you will allow me to pass some of them very quickly, but I wanted, for the sake of completeness, to give you the full picture for the topics I'm going to deal with. One of the questions I asked to Yvette before preparing my presentation is, what is the knowledge about the European Union of the audience? And she said to me, you better prepare a couple of slides. So I did. So, the European Union. Well, the European Union is the result of a number of international treaties that started back in the 50s. And the last one was approved in December 2009 after a lot of discussion, particularly in a few countries like the Netherlands, France, and Ireland. That was the last one to approve the treaty after a second referendum. 28 countries, 500 million people, and it's unique because there is no other kind of arrangement around the world, economic and political partnership among the 28 democratic countries in order to create a better union among the peoples of Europe, in order to take decisions as close as possible to the citizens, in order to promote peace, freedom, prosperity in a fairer and safer world for the citizens, and in addition to that, to put in place a number of European policies through secondary legislation that come after they are approved by the European institutions. I will speak about now. So in order to accomplish the objectives of the European Union, a number of institutions have been set up. There are many. There are more than 80 if you count the core institutions, the other institutions, the agencies, and the other bodies. But the 3 major ones that are involved into the legislative process are the European Commission, where I work, that has the power of initiative. Proposing legislation is only possible if the European Commission does it. The Council of Ministers that represent the governments, and the European Parliament that represent the citizens. But one of the terms that is being used, particularly in Europe, is Brussels has decided. No, it's not only Brussels. The 7 core institutions are already in Brussels, in Luxembourg. I live in Luxembourg, in Strasbourg, and in Frankfurt. So, apart from that, one of the things that is also very often said is the European Union should do. Well, those are the competences of the European Union. There are very few exclusive competences, and there is one that is very well known in the Valley, is competition. because some of the companies around here have some kind of issues with the European Union. A lot of shared competences where it's not the European Union alone, it's with member states that we need to develop the policies. And we do a lot of support actions where we don't have any legal base, but nevertheless we help the member state to work together for the good of everybody. I have highlighted in red the policies that are related to the European Digital Agenda. And I wanted to clarify that IT, information technologies, is a national competence. But IT is essential for the development of the policies. Today, is seldom there is any kind of European initiative that doesn't have any kind of information technology component. So, in order to place my speech, in 2010, it's going too fast. In 2010, the European Commission launched an initiative called Europe 2020. Growth and jobs. Growth that is smart, that is sustainable, and that is inclusive. And in creating EU 2020, or Europe 2020, they defined 7 flagship initiatives. One of them, the one I am going to concentrate on, is the European Digital Agenda. And that was, by the way, the first one to be approved. So, we started from the fact that in the digital market, we observe a number of weaknesses. We have fragmented digital markets from country to country, different rules for different services. We lacked interoperability in system and services. There was a rise in cybercrime and a lack of trust in the security. There was not enough infrastructure. Insufficient investment in research and development compared to our competitors in America and in Asia. We had a lack of skills, both for professionals and for the population, and we have fragmented approach to the societal challenges such as the aging population or e-government. And we thought that we deploy infrastructure, we create content and services, we are going to increase the demand, we are going to create jobs, and we are going to produce growth. So, this is the basis of the European Digital Agenda, and in order to tackle the weaknesses, we define a number of areas of work. Create a digital single market, increase interoperability, particularly for cross-border services, and use more standards, increase security, deploy infrastructure, increase investment in research and innovation, increase the skills, and use ICT for societal challenges. As the commissioner in charge of the European Digital Agenda said, we want everybody to be digital. And I'm going to concentrate on 3 areas: interoperability and standards, trust and security with the European Union cybersecurity strategy, and then societal challenges. I'm going to concentrate on e-government and open data. So, 101 actions were defined within the European Digital Agenda, 31 legislative proposals, 78 for the European institution, the rest for member states. And we are not alone in this kind of approach. So, starting with interoperability and standards. So, we have standards created by a number of official bodies, but we believe that they are not enough, and particularly, we are not making good use of those standards, particularly in public procurement. And in any case, if we want cross-border services, we need interoperability. So even in the absence of standards, we need interoperability. And there is the need, because this slide shows the interactions from business, from citizens, among public administration with the European institutions. And those interactions through information system, exchanging information, are really impossible if you don't promote interoperability. So, we created, and I had the pleasure and the honor to do it at the time. In 2009, October, the European Parliament and the Council found an agreement on a new program called Interoperability Solutions for Public Administrations. And what we do in this program is to define a number of strategies and put in place a number of tools so that we deliver the frameworks that are needed in order to create better interoperability within the member states, with the different administration, and among all the administration in Europe. For instance, I invite you to look at, to check out the website. We have an European interoperability strategy. We have an European interoperability framework. We work a lot on semantic interoperability. We have a number of resources that federate what is being done by member states in their own administration. So it's a very rich program that doesn't have a lot of funds, but has a lot of leverage into interoperability in member states. But interoperability doesn't have a single dimension. It looks like it's a technical issue. No. I can tell you that no information system has never been stopped in the European Union because of lack of interoperability or lack of standards. Semantic is a different issue. I will speak about that later. But most of the barriers are, as usual, at organizational level. You need two for tango, so they need to work together. And at the legal level, because sometimes in enacted legislation, we are creating more barriers than destroying the barriers. And why semantic is important? Semantic is important in the first place because we have 24 official languages. Do you imagine somebody in Estonia wanting a service from Spain, and the two administrations speaking different languages? So we need to give that a meaning, and that's why semantics is very important. And we have been developing systems, for instance, in order to exchange information on professional qualifications, so that the two administrations can say, yes, this person has this qualification, and yes, this person can have a job over here for one specific profession. I can tell you that we have built a wonderful system that in one, the display is in Estonian, in the other one, the display is in Spanish, and they are exchanging information so that they are able to say, yes, you can go ahead, or no, without having to go through different official translation, etc. So this is all the work of the semantics, and it's extremely important, and we are concentrating a lot of effort on that. If you want to know more about the work that has been done in terms of semantic interoperability, I invite you to check out a wonderful website that we built. It's a platform, as a matter of fact, with collaboration, with federation of resources, with a lot of information on best practices called JoinUp. It's developed in open source using the Drupal platform, and you can check it out at joinup.europa.eu. We have done a lot of work that has been recognized even by the W3C, and is one of the notes, particularly the work on ADMS, asset description metadata scheme. So I invite you to check it out if you want to know more, and I can put you in contact with the specialists if you are interested in the subject. So standards are important. Why they are important? Because they increase competition, and also help with sustainability and avoid locks-in. Standards are important in the European Union, and we have realized that because we have observed that not only the standards that are issued by official organizations in Europe or international like Sensenelec or ETSI, is a lot of standards are produced by fora and consortia, and we, for the time being, we are not, or at the time, we were not taking care of those standards in order to be able to do better public procurement. So the Digital Agenda for Europe proposed a modification of the directive, and here we are with the legislation already enacted and being transported in member states. So in 2012, there was a new legislation, a new directive on the use of standards that extended the application not only for technology or for other areas, but also for services. Promotes a lot of cooperation among national standard bodies, and increases, and this is absolutely essential, the participation of the stakeholders. And this is an obligation also for European standardization organizations. And we fund that with our own funds in the European Union. When you have competing standards, you need to have a method in order to analyze and see which one is the most convenient to be put into the call for tenders. And through the ISA program, Interoperability Solution for Public Administration, we have created with member states some kind of assessment method in order for you to determine which standard is best suitable for what you want to do and what you want to require from the market officially. You can check it out also at the Join Up platform that I mentioned before. In order to support and to make sure that the stakeholders are consulted, the Commission has set up a platform, a multi-stakeholder, with a participant from all the interested parties. There are member states, there are standard organizations, there are small and medium enterprises, and there are even non-government organizations interested in the subject, and we accept observers on a case-by-case basis. Their mission is to advise the Commission on the work plan in order to include standards into the official list for public procurement, to advise on the selection and evaluation, on the evaluation process, particularly for ICT specifications, and they have been meeting and already accepting a number of standards that then the Commission approves officially through the normal legislative process. What contains the rolling plan for standardization? Contains standards that are in support of policies and that absolutely needed in order to be able to deploy the policies, and also standards that are of general use or are convenient for general interoperability. In the first case, for instance, we are very interested in e-health and e-invoicing, and particularly in invoicing, the issue was delicate, because there are now some countries where invoicing is compulsory, for instance in Denmark. So if they don't use the adequate standard, you are putting barriers to the single market. There are companies that will have to do a specific development if they want to sell in Denmark, and this is against our internal market. Now I go to the next topic, is trust and security. So we are preoccupied, and we see that on the press every day. Identity theft is there on a daily basis. Cybercrime is on the increase. There is a lot of privacy concerns, particularly after some revelations that took place last year by some kind of employees or contractor from the American government. And in any case, there is a barrier for the use of the internet, and particularly from the services, private sector or public sector. What are the instruments the European Union has in order to increase trust and security? Legal, policy, and research. And I have highlighted in red what I consider to be the most important parts of those instruments in order to increase security and trust. Legal harmonization in the European Union is absolutely necessary. Law enforcement is being in place, and we are creating the necessary agencies and giving them the competences in order to be able to tackle the cross-border incidents. Look at Europol. We need more member state coordination and international cooperation. The human factor awareness is absolutely essential. I believe that some of the problems are coming from there. And of course, we are supporting that with funds for research, and we have booked about 70 million per year on this area. And I think it's a golden opportunity to Europe to be on the edge of research in order to promote the industry. So, why we decided that we need to do an European action on cybersecurity? Why the Commission had to do something? Why the European dimension was important? So first of all, nobody can doubt today of the importance of internet for the economy and for the society. Second thing is we see that every day on the press, risks are high, incidents are on the increase, and cyber crime is making a lot of money, billions. Apart from that, this is cross-border. It's not just one country. And we would need, and was asked by member states, coordinated actions at the European level. So we decided to launch, and was approved in February 2013, an European Union cybersecurity strategy with 3 principles. We should apply the same values in the physical world and the cyber world. The second thing is security is absolutely essential for fundamental rights. And I want to clarify that privacy and data protection are part of fundamental rights in Europe. And that applies not only to the citizens of Europe, that applies to everybody. And the third thing is that this is a shared responsibility, it's not something for one or the other. Either we succeed all together or we are going to fail all together. Priorities. So we need better resilience. Neither the private sector nor the public sector are well prepared today to tackle the problems that are going to come. That is for sure. So we need a lot of effort. The second thing is we need to go behind the cyber criminals. We need much more actions and direct actions. That is related to cyber defense. Probably you read on the press that now cyber defense is on top of the NATO agenda, and therefore is on top of the European Union agenda. And of course, this is a golden opportunity for our industries, and we have very good industry in security, and the international cooperation is essential. So those are the 5 priorities for the European cybersecurity agenda. And also, we have proposed a directive. Just allow me to clarify something about European legislation. There are 2 types of legislation. Directive means that there is, we call that the phenomenon of transposition, but it's enacting in national law with the national constraints what has been approved at a European level. And then there are the regulations that are compulsory. You have to copy-paste the legislation, you have to respect it. And this is the difference. So there is now a directive that's being discussed. It was supposed to be approved by June. Unfortunately, there were elections to the European Parliament, so they are now very busy approving the College of Commissioners, but that will come on the table very soon, and has 3 elements. One is capabilities. Every country has to have a network and information security plan, and this plan has to have openings for cooperation. The second thing, this is the cornerstone of the directive, is we propose the creation of competent authorities that will develop the plans and that will part of the network where they are going to exchange information. And this is very important because of the borderless characteristic of the cybersecurity. And then we need to reinforce the computer emergency response teams in member states. We are not all at the same level, and we are not going to do things together if we don't work according to the same methods and according to the same urgencies. The second thing is cooperation. So we need to help the weakest part in Europe in building capacity. We need to define how we coordinate the response. We need to rehearse, and we count on ENISA, the European Network and Information Security Agency, to coordinate the exercises. And there is now every year an exercise, a tabletop exercise on network and information security, and ENISA is running that, and then drawing the lessons and publishing reports in order to improve the global environment. And the third one is we need a clear risk management and risk analysis, and we have to report on incidents to those critical sectors: energy, financial, transport, healthcare, internet, and of course, public administrations. And of course, we specialize, you have already detected that, in creating platforms. And creating platforms to advise us, to give the voice to the stakeholder, to give the voice to the users. So we have created yet another platform with more than 200 participants from all the areas from member states, including network and information security organizations, including risk analysis departments, including the research and academia, of course, and of course the industry, particularly to advise us on the future products that we should be putting in place and using in Europe. Third topic, e-government. So we gave us the objective by 2015 that 50% of all the European Union citizens should use e-government services. Perfect. And in addition to that, we have a lot of services between public administration. And the first one are taxes. So I can tell you that in terms of taxes, they communicate very good because it's collecting money. But this is not the case for citizens. Today, there is no genuine cross-border full European Union service from citizens to administration that is being deployed. There are by regions, by neighbor countries, but not something where you say from A to Z, I have an end-to-end service guaranteed where several administrations are participating. In addition to that, we have a number of priorities, particularly in e-health, and we want that e-health is really used by the citizens, and we are encouraging and we are funding a number of projects in this area. So, in 2010, the Commission approved, within the framework of the digital agenda, the e-government action plan from 2011 and 2015 with 4 principles. Empowering the citizens is faster said than done. The second is strengthening the internal market, is avoiding putting barriers. Increasing the efficiency and effectiveness of public administration is the golden rule. And then put in place a number of preconditions that are absolutely essential, particularly for cross-border services. A few examples. We believe, and this is part of my research project, that the collaborative production of public services with the citizens, with the civil society, with the social entrepreneurs, with the corporate social responsibility, can complement what is today delivered by the public administration by using the platforms that are provided by the private or the public sector in order to give better services and in order to empower more the citizens and in order to allow them to say their word. You are doing good, you are doing bad. The second thing is on preconditions. There is a regulation that hopefully will be approved in October, is something that is essential. Mutual recognition of identity and electronic signature. Electronic identities and electronic signature. If you cannot log into something and you are not recognized as that you are who you say you are, you cannot even enter the system. So the regulation will make that compulsory. My identity card, I have it here. No, I don't have it here. So my identity card has a memory chip, and I have my certificates inside. I use that to interact with the administration in Spain. It's recognized even by some banks. But I cannot use today, officially, I cannot use it if I want a service in Luxembourg. Well, in the future, when the regulation is approved, and is a plan that will be in application by June 2016, they have to recognize my identity. And I will tell you what we are going to put in place in order for that to be a reality. So this slide represents the relationship between the European Digital Agenda, the e-government action plan, all the pillars of the European Digital Agenda, and the principles that I was describing before that were issued in an e-government conference in Malmo in 2009 with the endorsement of the governments, of the industry, and of the civil society. I'm not going to enter into the details, and there were already 14 actions that were included into the digital agenda, but there are much more than that. And there is a relationship on every pillar with the different priorities. Now, what is the use of e-government in the European Union, the 28 countries? Unfortunately, No progress since 2011. We have gone a little bit backwards. And below, you have something that shouldn't be mistaken with the quality of the service provided. This is what the citizens are using. There is a correlation between the quality of the country in terms of providing e-government services, but it's not enough. So this is not a benchmark of e-government, this is a benchmark of the usage. And I was telling before, Denmark, for instance, has put invoicing compulsory. So you have to use the service. There is no other way you can interact with public administration. So the Danish are very good, like they are the Dutch and the Swedish. But why is not being used? So first of all, those who are using are very satisfied. And those who are not using, they say not use is because of lack of trust. Sound familiar? It's perhaps a lack of trust on the internet, of lack of trust in the government. So what the government is going to do if I interact. So we are concentrating now on the deployment of cross-border services. We have just started the new multi-annual financial framework, and we have created something called the Connecting Euro Facility that is to favor the connection of infrastructure in Europe, and it's not only telecommunication, but also telecommunication. And for that, we have booked 1 billion euros in order to create digital services and help with the deployment of broadband. I don't know whether you know what the European budget represents compared to the global budget of the European Union. It represents only 1.09%, so it's very little. So whenever we act, we need to act very focused, and we need to act to promote cross-border. The rest is for the national infrastructures. So we are investing in deployment of infrastructure, particularly in areas where is very much needed, and we are creating digital service infrastructure that will favor the cross-border services. For instance, we have already created and is now in pilot the infrastructure that will make a reality the mutual recognition of electronic signatures and electronic identities in Europe. It's called the STORC platform. And, but also, we are deploying digital infrastructure for sector specifics. For instance, in order to favor e-procurement throughout Europe, or in order to favor e-health. Digital public services, are they important? So, the number one spender in IT in Europe is government. And they have a lot of impact on the economy. So we think that public services can boost the economy. We think that we can, by the good use of ICT, remove a lot of burden for the companies, and we can reduce the cost of their transactions. So we need to put a lot of innovation and a lot of focus in public services. So we believe that public services should be digital by default. Public administration should be digital by default. Public services should be cross-border by default, and governments should open to be more transparent and to be more collaborative. And our vision for open government has 3 components. Open data, I will speak about that later. Open processes, you open your processes and you make them transparent. And then open services. And all that will promote transparency, collaboration, and participation. So now that leads me to the last topic, that is open data. Okay, so why do we need an EU policy on open data? So first of all, because some studies say that there are business opportunities, up to 40 billion per year in the future. There are societal challenges that are better tackled by collaboration, by using the data that is mostly in the hands of the government, because we can better empower the citizens and the civil society, and because we can, in sharing data, increase the efficiency of public administration. If only they change data in a very regular manner, we would increase the efficiency of public administration by itself. If you want to read more about the policy, there is a policy paper in that link. I invite you to check it out. So the open data strategy of the European Union has 4 components. A communication to the Parliament and the Council about how we are going to approach the open data policies, a revision of how we internally are going to approach reuse, how we are going to deliver our open data, a modification of the Public Sector Information Directive that came from 2003, and then setting up open data portals for European Union institutions, and also to federate the portals that are existing in all member states, what we call the pan-European portal. So, what we have proposed to the Council and the Parliament is that we shouldn't distinguish between commercial, non-commercial, private, public, that was in the past the way all that was approached. You are from the public sector, yes, I deliver the data. You are from the private sector, you have to pay, etc. So, level playing field. Everybody treated equal. And then, if they had to pay, there must be transparency into the conditions. If you want to know more how the PSI directive, the Public Sector Information Directive, is being implemented, you can check out this website. It's the EPSI platform that contains a lot of information and is fed by the different member states as they are progressing. And this displays from 2013 the good students into the area of open data. And I'm very proud that Spain is number 2. And I know the guys that were doing that, and I know that they have received a number of prizes, and they call that a portal that is contributing, more or less. So, we started the legislative process in 2011. There was an agreement between the co-legislator, that is the Council and the Parliament, in April 2013, and finally was adopted and voted by the European Parliament and the Council in June 2013. And as usual, it takes about between 18 and 24 months to transpose that into the national legislation, so the entry into force will be on the last quarter of 2015. So, reuse by default, so genuine. So you have to justify why don't you reuse, why don't you open up your data. The pricing, if any, is based on marginal cost for dissemination or justified cost for production. The cultural institutions have been brought into the directive, and full transparency on the charges for everybody. And of course, we promote the delivery of data in readable formats. And what about us? So, are we eating our own dog food or drinking our own champagne? Yes. In 2011, before the directive was approved, into the communication to the Commission and to the Council and the Parliament, we decided that by default, we are going to open up our data. By default, we are going to reuse. Without need of individual application, without charging anything, without putting any conditions, and without discriminating. And if there is any exception, has to be duly justified. And there are 3. Number 1, when there are intellectual property rights, patents, trademarks, etc. Second, the documents are with us, but contain intellectual property rights that are not belonging to the Commission. And the third is when you need privileged access to the document. Those are the only 3 exceptions we have for not delivering the information. So, the last part is the European Data Portal. So, still dog fooding. Yes, we have an European institution data portal, and this is the structure. You have the core, is the content management system that contains of the data set. You have all the part concerning the dissemination for download. You have a part concerning the participation. You have a part that relays the data, the linked data, so the web 3.0, the semantic web. And then you have the social media where people are exchanging information. And this is the animal. So I invite you to check it out at open-data.europa.eu. By the way, I tried yesterday evening and they were on maintenance, but they came live immediately after. So I thought, oh no, I wanted to have the very last screenshot, but finally I succeeded. And of course, within the LOD2 initiative, we also funded a beta version of what we call the Pan-European Data Portal. There is a map on the right-hand side. You click on the country, and then you receive, through the exchange of information in the gateway, all the data sets that are available for every specific topic in every country. And if you want to know how all that was done internally, is through the DITCAT application that was also developed within the ISA program. So what is next? We have a new president of the Commission, picture, Jean-Claude Juncker. I know him very well because he was the Prime Minister of Luxembourg, so I have had the pleasure and the honor to meet him. And he's a tough guy, I can tell you, and very European. And he believes that digital policies will deliver growth and will deliver jobs. And there is a lot at stake. The second thing is the new Commission has been proposed, not yet appointed. They had to go to the Parliament yet. And Mr. Juncker has appointed a specific commissioner, the vice president for the digital single market, just to highlight the importance. And his mission his mandate is there. So promote the digital policies in Europe. He was the former Prime Minister of Estonia. And also, there is a commissioner in charge of digital economy and society, and he will have to deal with the telecom market. He will have to deal with regulation. He will have to deal with roaming fees in Europe, and he will have to deal with accessing content without additional burden to users. So a lot of things. So we want to build, to connect, to grow in Europe, and with that, thank you very much.
Thanks so much. We have a few minutes for questions, so if there are a few hands, we'll start here and then go in the back.
Hi, thank you for this fascinating talk. One of the obstacles to the free dissemination of data that you mentioned was intellectual property rights, but you mentioned them as if they were an external fact. In fact, though, they are an object of legislation, and there is a lot of debate over what they should be, including copyright, fair use, transformative use, and so forth. And there's a lot of discussion about how the European regime differs from the United States regime. So what do you see as the role of your organizations in influencing the future of intellectual property rights to make your vision come to reality?
Well, as a matter of fact, if I look at the 101 actions, most of them are on track or have been finished according to plans. But this is one of those which is late, because it's a very difficult topic. So I know that was the beginning of the year, there was a very kind of warm discussion inside the College of Commissioners about this area. And I think they are elaborating now some kind of white paper on how to approach this issue. The problem, in my opinion, this is my personal opinion, is we are dealing with that with an approach of the past centuries. And the world has changed. And we need completely new ideas. But the problem is so solid today that making a big change there is impacting too many sectors. And the different lobbies lobby for different areas. But certainly this is one of the areas because intellectual property rights, for instance, is a barrier to the digital single market. They are applied in a different way in different countries. So for us in Europe is really a problem. So I was referring in the exceptions to the open data was purely internal with the current rules. But that we need to solve that problem. That will be, I have seen the mandate, the complete mandate of the future Commissioner for Enterprise and Market, and it's there. And it's an issue of the market. So will have to be tackled. What direction is going to be taken, I still don't know. But if you want more information about that, you have my email address. I will let you know in which state is the white paper and what is the direction taken. But certainly, it's a very hot topic in the European Commission.
So we have time for just one more question, I think, from back here.
So how do you expect the digital initiative that you described to affect an agency like the IEC? Do you expect it to have a strong, that's the International Electrotechnical Commission, and of course, in the power industry, the issue is hacking resources in the power industry, and they're trying to solve this problem. Does your initiative influence them? They're located in Switzerland. Can you say something about that?
I apologize, but I will not be able to say anything because I don't know the specific agency. But you meant in terms of cybersecurity?
Yeah, cybersecurity and how they interact.
Well, I don't know the agency, but what I promise is to come back. If you give me your email address, I come back to you and give you more precise information. I don't know the specific part.
We have time for one last comment from Costas.
So we hear a lot in the U.S. about issues like internet neutrality and the intersection with the private sector, the right to be forgotten, by Google and so on. Are all these issues discussed at the Commission level, or are these left to the different nations to decide?
No. The Commission is now setting up the position for the next meeting of the Internet Forum, and for what I see in the papers, is a very tough position on the openness of the internet. It's not for the pleasure of everybody. So it's a lot of. But I don't know the details of the discussion now. But I can come back to you with some specific issues. But certainly we are preparing the position, and is in the area of openness. And it looks that now even the United States is ready to give away a little bit more kind of role for the European Union particularly. So we expect that we are going to contribute positively to the discussions in the coming months. But I will come back to you to tell you what is the exact situation.
Thank you. I'm going to bring the program to a close, but I think that Francisco would be willing to stay for a few minutes and answer further questions.
And you have my mail there, so if you need whatsoever, please mail me. So I'm a mail addict.
Thank you.
Thank you.